Hey guys, Mike here. So we're gonna have a jam-packed video, and we got a big week ahead. Finally getting into the meat and potatoes of earnings season, starting this week and really into next week. Okay, but we'll have a couple of mega caps reporting this week, along with a lot of other companies. Not too much data to worry about. Again, government shutdown continues to go on, but there's something in particular we're going to talk about in this video, and it's going to be momentum on the index, momentum on these mega caps, momentum on even the high beta stuff. See where it's at. And also what retail has been doing, and a lot of stories about gold and silver and everything going on this weekend. Right now as I'm recording this, the futures are up, crypto's up. We're going to see if that holds overnight going into tomorrow. We're going to start the week off green or not. But dip buyers are still real in this one. Let me know if you're one of them. You can see record buy the dip week for stocks, single stock inflows with the 5th largest in history and the biggest ever for a week when the market was down at least 1%. And I mean, no surprise, I don't think, really, when you think about it. But when you look at the numbers, investors bought more than $3.9 billion in U.S. equities last week, following 3 straight weeks of selling. Net inflows of single stocks hit $4.1 billion for the 5th highest since 2008 and the largest on record for a week when the S&P fell at least 1%. This was driven by institutional inflows of $4.4 billion, the most since November 2022. Retail investors bought $1.1 billion, marking their second weekly purchase out of the last 6. Meanwhile, hedge funds sold about $1.6 billion, posting their 5th consecutive weekly sale. This comes as gold and silver just continue to go freaking parabolic. Both gold and silver saw a record inflow of $34.2 billion over the last 10 weeks, the largest inflow in history. And just look at that right there to the right. And if you just go on YouTube and you type in people rushing to buy gold or silver, and you'll see these lines in Australia and everywhere around the world where people lined up. Truth is, though, I don't know how they prove if the people are actually sitting in line to buy or to actually sell. I mean, with the numbers at now, but if they're buying, it's no surprise. I mean, that's what happens. People FOMO in. But I'm not going to be surprised if there's a lot of people also just going to sell their physical gold from where they bought it at a long time ago, because it's insane. And if you look at a silver chart, like, it gets on these parabolic rises, and when it falls, it is epic. So we'll see how far it goes, And a lot of people, the philosophy is that, or the thought is like, oh, if gold ever starts to pull back or cool down or whatever it is, that money's going to flow into crypto. We'll see. But remember, the number one buyers of gold right now are your central banks, and they're not going to sell. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Silver's a whole different thing, though. Now, so what happened in the market this week? I love this diagram because it describes it perfectly. You can see how the beliefs were, oh my God, we're back on that Monday. Then, uh-oh, we sold back off. Then, oh man, we're so back. Oh, Thursday it's over. And then Friday, we're back. And that is pretty much what summed up the week. You can even look at the chart on the S&P 500. And what do? Just stayed right there within that really red weekly candle from the previous week, okay, which mostly makes up Friday's candle, which was the bloodbath, and it ended almost right dead in the middle. And you look at the VIX. The VIX had one of its largest down moves in like the history of the VIX. It was like the largest 7th one-day move down, like 30%. And so where did it go back to? Right where it was consolidating before the big move up. And so if the VIX continues to head down, the market will start to head back up. High beta stuff will start to head back up. Crypto will start to head back up most likely as well, but it has to subside. So let's see if we can get through this area, break below like 18-ish, okay, and continue to stay down there. That's what we got to find out. And, right now with China and U.S. going back and forth, you see they're trying to ease tensions right now, and China's saying, hey, we're up for this, and America saying, cool, sounds good, we're up for this too, and we're so close to the best month of the year as well on top of it. But again, you can see it only takes one tweet or something like that to really spike it up. So let's see what's going to happen here. There's a reason why the market went really green on Friday, or really recovered, is because the VIX was falling like crazy. And you can clearly see right here, if we can get above this level right here and hold around 6680, 6700 right there, and turn that into support, and yeah, I mean, we can absolutely finally go higher and start heading on to, I mean, some people like Tom Lee say 7,000 for year end and all that fun stuff. If not, we come down, just look for 6,600 to hold, where we're just kind of looking for the market to tell us which part of that giant red candle we're going to break above and finally get going. And we could consolidate until we see the really big mega caps like NVIDIA and Apple and Microsoft report, right? I mean, that could be a thing, but you can clearly see the cues. I mean, what's it doing? It's sitting here creating this triangle pattern right here, just wedging tighter and tighter and tighter. and the S&P is pretty much doing the exact same thing, you know. So, and the big question is it going to break up, start heading towards that trend line right there, which has been resistance the whole time, or is it going to start finally breaking down, you know? And when you pull over here at the rest of these, you can see, you know, equal weights are all kind of the same triangle pattern where they just seem to be wedging tighter and tighter and tighter and waiting for this move. You see the Dow is the same way, the equal weights are the same way. Dow Jones Transportation, I mean, that thing right there, nice recovery last week, but it's just kind of consolidating in this one area. You can really see it. You know, looks like, you know, if it breaks above this trend line, we'll get a nice pop right here. You know, and a lot of them are like, well, you'll see on the mega caps is that way. You'll see on a lot of others it's the same way and what they're forming. But when you look at the momentum, this is the weekly. You can see we have not had a bearish MACD cross. That is a good thing if you're a bull. RSI, nowhere near being below the 50. It's below that moving average, but it's trying to get back above it right now. And when you look back here on any other 5% drops or greater, there was a weekly MACD bearish cross, and we just hadn't had that right now. You see it right here. Bearish MACD cross down. You see the very next one. Bearish MACD cross down. Okay. And so you haven't had that, or maybe close, but this is a weekly chart. So it'll take 2 more weeks. So you'd have to have the mega caps really report something the market doesn't like to make this happen. Okay. And again, the RSI would fall below the moving average and it would get back above it. But just watch the MACD. That's what's going to show us, you know, what's happened. That's what we looked at last time before that, you know, big sell-off at the beginning of the year and stuff. When you look over at the daily, again, we're climbing back above the 50 on the RSI for the daily. The MACD is trying to turn back up. It's nowhere near the 0 line to go below that right now. When you look over at the momentum for the large mega caps, right? I mean, not a lot of momentum going to the upside or downside, really, when it comes to NVIDIA right there. You can see the RSI, they're just kind of trading sideways, just waiting to see. It looks like it wants a bearish MACD cross on the weekly. You know, Microsoft already had its bearish MACD cross. Remember, this one's been selling down for 2 months. All right, RSI is nowhere near 50. Apple still looks good. Google, probably the strongest of all of them. Avgo, maybe, on the higher time frame, it looks like it may want it. Amazon's been selling down for a while. It's already had the bearish MACD cross. RSI is below 50. It's in the worst spot. There's Meta. You know, it's been selling down for a while. RSI bounced off that 50 line. Again, it looks like the MACD's trying to curl up on the larger time frame. Tesla, you know, still in slow momentum. And then in comparison, look at the high beta stuff, the Irenes and all them. Holy moly. Look at where these RSIs are at. look at the MACD. Oh my goodness. I mean, that is insane. It's just straight up. I mean, you're like, holy cow. So these really do need to pull back. You know, you got on the daily there, you finally didn't even have a bearish MACD cross. It just touched it. You know, it looks like the RSI is trying to sit here and maybe roll over on these things. Oak low, same thing. You can see the MACDs and the RSIs. RSI is actually not that bad on this one. It's the MACD. Good God. And these are weeklies. This isn't even like the daily. This is just the weekly. LEU, same thing right there. NNE, RGTI, quantum computing. And so these are the ones you want to watch and see if these are finally going to actually have a real rollover or just a hiccup where it goes, okay, here's 10, 20% down. Now let's turn back up and get ready for round, you know, I guess it'd be around 5 now or something. IONQ, same way right here. NBIS, another popular one. You know, you can just see these right here. But on the higher time frames, most of them still hadn't rolled over. You know, NBIS on the daily finally did. A lot of them are testing the 9 EMA, testing the trend lines. What was funny is you had this come out Friday. Sam Altman backed Oklo to get $2 billion for U.S. nuclear fuel development. And feel free to read this, whatever. But what was crazy, when you look at the chart, normally that'd be a 20% candle, but it was 1.3%. And Friday was a really nice green day. But it's sitting here, it's testing that 9 EMA. You can draw a trend line on this. You can see it's testing the trend line right here. Still not even close to giving any form of a real discount of any kind. If you look at just the previous high and low, yeah, you probably got a 50% right there for sure just looking at it. But again, hadn't broke down major at all. But when you pull up the visible range volume profile, you can see where any kind of support is. And it's thin up in this area, but these are so freaking popular, especially going into fourth quarter. What I'm looking to see is any of this money roll into the Mag 7? Does any of this money roll into safer havens going into earnings season? Because all these stocks now are going to have earnings coming up in the next 3 months. You know, what can they possibly say? They literally have most of them have no revenue. And so how many earnings seasons can you go through before they go, oh, okay, we've made enough on this, it's up 1,000%. That's what we got to find out. And so we'll see if this thing's going to pop back up. Now, looking at Tesla, you can see in November, one of its best months, 73% win rate, almost a 12% average return in November. Okay, it has earnings coming up very soon this week. You can see where it's at, just setting that same range that we consolidated in. Like I said, I don't know if we'll get this megaphone pattern to play out at all, to be honest with you. I think we're going to wait on earnings to see. But it's setting at 439.33, which of course has been resistance, support, and everything. So we'll see. And these aren't big moves. I mean, Tesla can make these moves in like half a day easy. So that's not a big deal for it. But when you look, just to get the all-time new highs is only 12% away. I think people forgot this year it still hasn't set a new all-time high, even though most of the mega caps did. It did not. Okay, and so what we got to see is everybody's going to be listening to Elon talk about Optimus and the autonomous taxis and all that fun stuff. So, we'll see. Again, I don't think it almost matters what he says, to be honest with what the numbers are. I mean, they're either going to push this thing up or down, but we'll just see once momentum starts heading one way. I mean, again, we'll know. If you look at extended hour, you can see that trend line right there. I think once that breaks, yeah, we're going to head right up there, that 453, 457 area. But right now, we just got to break out of this one area. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really, really nice big move this week. We'll see which way it goes. I personally don't care which way it goes, if I'm being honest. I'll play the momentum either way. You look at NVIDIA, all of these, just like Tesla, for example, are coming up with that falling wedge pattern. They broke out. We talked about this the other day. It's testing what used to be resistance that turned back into support. Okay, so it was a previous all-time high. We'll see if we can get through that. Clearly, I think if Tesla has a big week this week, NVIDIA will not have a big week. And you know why? I've said it many times, showed it many times. Microsoft, same thing. This bullish pattern right here broke above that trend line right there. We're going to see if it can hold, get moving up. Obviously, if NVIDIA does move, or even stay flat for that matter, and Microsoft, now for them to get going, of course, the index is most likely going to be green. Google, I mean, just look at that thing. Strongest of all of them. Broke out of that channel, retested the channel, and seems to want to continue to move higher. I mean, I don't think anybody expected this to be the #1 leader of all the Mag 8s as far as how strong it's been. But, and again, it didn't give a discount. It was the only one that didn't give a discount when it came down right here. Meta, again, another triangle pattern right here. It's just wedging in here after breaking over that trend line. And so remember, this one didn't have the 200 retest like Amazon did. And so a lot of people are betting this one to go higher. Again, they'll report, I believe, this next week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's going to be October 29th. Most of them report next week, so it's going to be an unloaded week. Amazon, of course, this one right here is performing the worst, but guess what? What are you seeing? I mean, that right there is a falling wedge pattern, which normally breaks to the upside. So, we're going to see. I mean, a lot of them keep breaking to the upside. This one did have a 200 retest. The difference in this one, though, is it actually closed below the 200 moving average. So it is the worst performing Mag 8 out there. And so, again, it reports next week as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I talked to you about, I said, about 200 breaks, watch for this gap right here, and what do we come down into? Right down that gap, touch down into it, boom. And that's where we tried to hold. But it's a lot of red candles. So, we'll see if money finally starts to flow into this one to pick the momentum up on this one. Apple here, third heaviest weighted stock. It's another one, just like Tesla, did not set a new all-time high, got up there, tested that level multiple times and failed. Broke this trend line, has retested this trend line, and failed to break above it. But, it is still holding up strong when you look at it. I mean, it gave that discount, filled that gap. It's another one, reports Thursday, October 30th. RSI, as far as momentum, has not blown below the 50. Looks like the MACD is trying to curl back up. So, again, this one is holding in there, and so they are holding up strong. And remember, these are considered safe havens because of all the cash, because they know they're not going to fail. They're not like these high beta stuff or anything. They don't have revenue and crazy stuff like that. So they tend to flow into those stocks to get ramped up for that November rally. Netflix here is going to be interesting. They report, and they got this trend line goes back to 2022. And so, this will decide whether that's going to break or not. That's what earnings is going to decide for us, because it's not a big drop down. I mean, it's only like a 4% to even get to that trend line right there, and they're going to report on Tuesday. And so, but if they break above, say la vie, welcome 1340 or whatever it is. And I don't want to see if they finally going to do a stock split. That's what I'm curious about. If we break the trend line, just look for anywhere from 985 to 1060. See if that holds. But again, if they break up, then boom, 1350 plus is on the table. Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. Now, a lot of earnings. Cleveland Cliffs on Monday. Really, plenty of stuff in the afternoon if you want to look at it. Nothing major. Then we start Tuesday. Okay, we got Coca-Cola, G Aerospace, Lockheed Martin right here. You're going to have RTX, 3M, Pulte Group, GM. Then in the afternoon, that's when you get Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, Texas Instruments, Capital One. Then on Wednesday, we'll have GE Vernova, Hilton, AT&T. Then in the afternoon, Tesla, IBM, QuantumScape, which has been going absolutely crazy. Alcoa, Lam Research is another semiconductor stock. It's been going absolutely ham as well. And then Thursday, American Airlines. You'll have Honeywell, Dow, Hasbro, Southwest, AutoNation. And then in the afternoon, we'll have Intel, see if they can finally hold up to all this investment they've been getting. Newmont, Alaska Airlines right there. You got Deckers, you got Ford. And then Friday, you'll have P&G and General Dynamics. And then as far as data, it'll be very limited. You're sitting there on Monday with nothing to worry about. I mean, you got CB leading index month over month. Nobody cares about that. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, crude oil inventories. Thursday, existing home sales. Friday, supposedly we're getting CPI data. I don't know how the government closed, but maybe they said they're going to put it out anyway. Flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI. Supposedly this is coming out right now. This could change though, okay? Revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations, and says tentative new home sales. So we'll find out if all that's coming out or not. So just buckle up for a fun, volatile week. So I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. Think about hitting that like and subscribe button on your way out. Think about signing up with the membership. Less than McDonald's combo at $7.99. That's everything you get with it. Just hit the first link down the bottom of the description. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another fun one.